If we had to credit one person with the development of the sword and sorcery genre, it would have to be Robert E. Howard. His brainchild, Conan the Barbarian, pulled the subgenre into the limelight of mainstream media, and it's no wonder that Howard is called the father of this fantastical subgenre. He's created a lot of characters, but our favorite has to be Red Sonja. As we all know, this swashbuckling heroine doesn't shy away from a challenge. Howard first introduced the character, Red Sonia of Rogatino, in his short story, The Shadow of the Vulture. This isn't the Sonya we would all come to love, though. That version came as an adaptation by writer Roy Thomas and artist Barry Windsor Smith for Marvel Comics. This is when she got her fiery red hair, warrior personality, and her iconic bikini chainmail armor. But have you ever wondered what this brave she-devil would do if she were forced to face the evil that is Thulsa Doom? Wonder no longer, as Dynamite Entertainment has a 4-issue miniseries that explores Red Sonja's brief tangle with the cunning sorcerer. Written by Peter David and Luke Lieberman, as well as illustrated by Will Conrad, this miniseries is an excellent exploration of the bravery and presence of mind of Red Sonja and the lengths that Thulsa Doom will go to rule over the world. So what are we waiting for? Let's dive right in. Wolf in sheep's clothing. A small city burns in the night, coloring the sky with smoke. Red Sonja watches over it with grief. It would have been a beautiful sight if the city had only belonged to her enemies, but unfortunately, that was not the case. This was the only place she ever called home. The forces of Thulsa Doom attacked every house, pulled out the inhabitants, and slaughtered them without mercy. Sonya attacked back, trying to rally her people, reminding them that they were fighting for the future of Hercania. She struck fear into the hearts of the intruders and demanded to know where their leader was. That leader, Thulsa Doom, watched from a safe distance and was impressed by Sonya's fighting style. He believed her to be the perfect disciple as she spared no mercy, fought gloriously. One of Doom's soldiers tried to seize her by jumping right up on her horse, but she snapped his neck without breaking a sweat. She was disappointed with her people when they refused to fight and sought to hide and whimper. The soldiers banded together to take her down. Sonya used one as a human shield and broke into a house to escape the advancing soldiers. The old man inside shook in fear and begged her to spare him, which shocked her, making her wonder what happened to the Hercanian pride. They used to be the kings of the East, absolute warriors, but now all they did was fear. Once she got an opening, she swung her sword and killed the soldiers who dared to attack her on her own land. Thulsa, to test her, sent snakes that soon met their maker by Sonya's sword. Thulsa smiled with fascination and saw her as a feast to be devoured. A club thrown by one of Thulsa Doom's soldiers knocked Sonya off her feet. Her horse, which still held on to Hercanian pride and bravery better than the people of the city, rushed towards her, pushing and trampling anyone who tried to stop it. She got on her horse, realizing she was easily outnumbered and the city was lost, and rode off into the forest. The soldiers tried to give chase, but Doom ordered them not to. As she left the burning city, Sonya swore to find him once again. Thulsa walked along the streets of the city he'd just conquered. It was littered with the corpses of its inhabitants, and he told his soldiers not to take any pleasure in it, as pain is an agent of change. His soldiers enslaved those who had managed to survive the ordeal. He came across his men surrounding a woman, and he made them leave her. Reminiscing about his childhood, he told her that life had taken everything away from her and left her with nothing, just as it had him, but he offered her a chance at liberation from the world. Without much choice in the matter, the woman agrees to join him. 3 of Doom's soldiers decide to pursue Sonya despite her clear instructions, hoping their leader would be pleased with them for showing initiative. They don't last long in the woods, as it's Red Sonja's territory, and they lost their lives before they even realized what was happening. When Doom found out, he chastised the general for letting his men grow so disobedient. He then ordered him to take the enslaved people to slave auctions in due body. The general was hesitant about the job, as the she-devil prowled the forests, but he was shut down quickly by Doom. You see, Doom's not the kind of guy to take suggestions from his subordinates. He morphed into a well-muscled bald man to hide himself among the slaves so that he could handle Red Sonja personally. Meanwhile, Sonya drank from a cool pond, wondering if her people had always been so gutless and unwilling to fight back. She corrects herself as she remembers that Hercania was once defended by steel and sinew. That's what made it so special. Her ruminations are cut short by the arrival of her old friend Ausias, an archer. Ausias inquires about the attacks on the city, which surprises Sonya. After all, he learned his living by robbing traders in that very city. Ausias explains that that's why he cared, as his livelihood had been threatened. Ozias told her all he knew about the attackers was that they were led by Doom, the ancient and powerful sorcerer. One of Ozias' friends called out for him as he noticed a slave shipment moving through the forest, with the slavers beating the slaves every step of the way. Deciding that no Hercanian deserved to die in bondage, Ozias and Sonya went to free them all. As they hid in the trees, a disguised Thulsa Doom broke his chains and began attacking the soldiers with a fierce cry that he would choose death before dishonor. Sonya and Ozias aided him as they freed the chained slaves. Thulsa killed his own general. The poor general, with his last breath, asked Doom to save him, but he didn't heed his pleas and choked him to death. Most of the soldiers were killed in the battle, and the few that remained tucked tail and ran. Thulsa, unrecognizable in his disguise, cried crocodile tears and swore not to rest until every single soldier of Doom was dealt with. Sonya consoled him and told him it wouldn't help anyone if he didn't rest. Thulsa introduced himself by only his first name and told her that he had lost his only family, a younger brother, in his care. He shook hands with Sonya, who was unaware that he was the man she was after. The hidden, the unknown, and the ignorant. Thulsa Doom's soldiers wondered where Doom and the general were. One of the factions tried to claim the women in the group as they believed Doom had deserted them. Zal told them that Doom was eternal and reminded them that they had labored for many years to resurrect him. The other soldier demanded to settle the issue like men, and the two began to fight. Doom projected his voice into Zal's mind, and empowered by his master's encouragement, Zal took down the naysayers. He demanded to know whether there were any other heretics in the group who weren't sure of his devotion to Doom so that he could help them meet their death. At that moment, Doom ordered Zal to take his men to the capital where Doom would meet them. Zal agreed and declared that it was time for Lord Doom to rule the East. That night, Red Sonja slips into a pond to take a refreshing dip, but Thulsa notices and jumps in to join her. He pretends to not have noticed her and apologizes for startling her, but she wasn't someone who reacts well to being startled. She throws up a leg to kick Thulsa in the face, but he grabs her foot and refuses to let go. She offered him a quick death as opposed to a slow, painful one if he let go now. Ozias heard the clamor and aims his arrow at Thulsa, ready to shoot. Thulsa pulled her leg but held her down, and as luck would have it, he's briefly distracted when he notices Ozias, which gives Sonya just enough time to free herself and punch him. Ozias fires his arrow, but Thulsa catches it easily and tells Sonya that he didn't mean any harm, assuring her that he would never startle her again. The three seat themselves around a fire and eat. Sonya notices that Thulsa doesn't resemble any Hercanian she knew, to which he replied that he was from the jungles and deserts of Zingara and was brought to Hercania by the slave traders of Koth. He had freed himself by destroying those who enslaved him, and ever since, Hercania had been his home. Sonya wondered out loud what had happened to the king, as he had remained out of sight even when the largest port city had been razed. Ozias has an answer for her. Ever since Sonya killed the previous king for trying to possess her, the only ruler left was a young prince. Since he wasn't yet old enough to rule, the viceroy ruled in his place, while the prince was kept in the high temple of Pa-Disha, where he was blind and deaf to his people's predicament. Ozias wasn't sure if they could penetrate Pa-Disha, as it was heavily guarded to save the prince and the mines below the temple. While this was going on, Doom's soldiers, led by Zal, had attacked Pa-Disha. The viceroy had sent all the soldiers to work in the mines, leaving nearly no soldiers to defend them against the 3,000 soldiers who were following Zal. They had set Bakrosh, a port city, on fire. Scared about the impending attack, the viceroy ordered the soldiers to stock all treasure in the mines for peacekeeping, as he would discuss the matter with the prince. The prince was disturbed from his meditation by the cries of seabirds and smoke. He rushed out and was concerned to see the flames lapping at the city. The viceroy appeared just then and misled him into believing it was a fire sparked by the lightning bolt from the previous night's storm. The prince wanted to investigate, but the viceroy reminded him that he wasn't yet of age. The prince remembered that his father only wanted him to enter politics in his 18th season, and there were still 3 months left for that. Despite his father's wishes, the prince wanted to be with his people. Knowing that wouldn't help with his wealth hoarding, the viceroy promised to handle things and asked the prince to go back to his path of enlightenment. As he left the temple, he asked the soldiers not to let the prince out and not to let anyone except himself enter either. A soldier tried to warn the viceroy about the formidable foe they were about to face, also Doom, who was a plague on the land and knew no mercy, but the viceroy dismissed his concerns and ordered him to keep his mouth shut as he had a plan. Sonya, Ozias, and Thulsa entered the village, and as Thulsa was a bit ahead, Ozias asked Sonya if she trusted him. Sonya doesn't trust anybody, and Ozias warned her that Thulsa lusted for her. Sonya redirected Ozias' concern towards their people who had grown cowardly. Osius told her it wasn't their fault, as their strongest warriors were enslaved in the steel mines of Padisha, and the people had no hope, as their prince had not spoken to them in forever. That explanation wasn't enough for Sonya, and she climbed down from her horse and declared that the Red Devil was back to set their houses in order. She roused the pride in their hearts towards Hercania and asked them to join her to still the beating hearts of their enemies. The people slowly emerged from their houses and hiding spots and cheered for the triumph of Sonya. That night, while everyone slept, Thulsa spoke to Zal psychically. He warned her that Sonya would be coming to the capital, so they needed to destroy it and occupy it as soon as possible. To this end, he granted Zal immense power and the help of 2 giant snakes that would dig the tunnels that would lead to the mines. Thulsa's words had woken Sonya up, and he could not finish his sentence as he felt the cool touch of a blade below his chin. He opened his eyes in surprise and saw Sonya, who demanded to know where his allegiance lay, as she could smell the stench of magic in the air. When doom is back. Sonya demanded to know who Thulsa was speaking with, and you got to admit, Thulsa is quick on his feet as he immediately replies that he was speaking with God, praying for strength and resilience before riding off to battle. Sonya asked him which god, and Thulsa wisely replied that all gods were the same, and that the one god had no name and didn't need one. The sun had begun to rise by then, and Osius asked her to either kill him or give him his sword, as it was time for them to ride to Padisha. Since she didn't have solid evidence that Thulsa was against them, she handed him his sword and warned him that she would be keeping a closer eye on him than his gods. The ragtag army of Sonya, Osius, Thulsa, and whatever remained of the city's people headed to the capital to meet Prince Ashim, hoping he would solve their problems. The viceroy told the overseer of the mines that Bakrosh had been lost to fire and that they needed to mine as much steel as possible so they could make swords and shields for the upcoming battle. When the overseer announced this to the miners, they were devastated as many of them had family in Bakrosh. They refused to spend any more time in the mines as they felt the need to save themselves. The viceroy urged them to work as they needed more weapons, but the miners didn't budge as they refused to spend any more time as slaves when death was so close. The viceroy was angered by the betrayal. He'd been honest with his men only because his wife suggested it. She pointed out it had been his idea, and he warned her he'd drag her out of the mines by the throat if she didn't comply, and handed her the bags of gold he'd taken from the treasury. She objected to carrying it when they had servants, but he replied that the servants would cut their throats for less. The couple tried to escape through the tunnels, but suddenly, the 2 giant snakes of Thulsa Doom erupted from the earth. Using his psychic powers, Doom saw through the eyes of the snakes and admired their tenacity, as they had existed on Earth since long before the birth of humanity. When Sonya and her group arrived at the border of Padisha, they were met with a list of Sonya's transgressions. The soldiers there tried to arrest Sonya, but she resisted and told the soldiers that she and the Hercanians with her were there to protect the king. The Hercanians were overcome with anger at the sight of Padisha and demanded the heads of the prince and his viceroy. Sonya silenced them and apologized to the soldiers for the threat. She didn't need to stress more upon the invaders, as Zal and his forces had entered the scene. Sonya chastises the soldiers for wasting her time, then she, along with Osius, Thulsa, and the Hercanians, attack Zal's men. The screams of the battle shake the prince from his meditation, and when he rushed outside, he saw the giant snakes and the 3 groups battling. Zal sent one of the giant serpents to feed on the prince, while Osius attacked the other. The prince grabbed his sword and rushed down. He met the snake on the stairs and fought bravely. Despite having no experience, the prince was well trained in the art of combat and had no problem taking the gigantic monster down. Meanwhile, Sonya fought Zal, who believed he was undefeatable, as he was not only the holy prophet of doom, but also his right hand. Sonya is not bothered by his claims, as he has attacked the Red Devil in her den. Osius hadn't fared well in this battle against the giant snake, and when he was knocked off his feet, Thulsa came to his rescue. He punched the snake away, and Osius was overjoyed to see Thulsa, because together they had a chance to defeat the creature. Just as his sigh of relief left him, the snake lunged and swallowed Thulsa whole. Osius yelled at Sonya for help just as she cut off Zal's hand. Zal gathered his wits and ran away, telling her that Hercanian steel would soon belong to Doom. Sonya also heard a scream from the temple and realized the prince was likely in danger. She didn't want to waste any time trying to rescue Thulsa, as he was already long gone. Asking Osius to take down the snake, she rushed to help the prince. Osius was surprised that Sonya could be so cold, and ordered the archers with him to fire at the monster. As she headed for the temple, a group of Hercanians formed around her. On the stairs, she was met with a glorious sight. The serpent was slaughtered, and standing on its corpse was the blood-drenched prince, heaving out tired from the fight. Sonya asked him who he was, and the prince replied with tears in his eyes that he was Ashim. As soon as the Hercanians heard that, one of them hurled a stone at him, accusing him of betraying them. The prince didn't defend himself and let the stone hit him. Sonya threatened to cut down anyone who threw any more stones. An old man in the group told the prince that he deserved to die as he had enslaved their people, robbed them of their wealth, and used their pride as dirt beneath their feet. He deserved to die. The prince couldn't deny the truth of the old man's words. He handed him his sword and asked him to kill him, while telling him that he too had been betrayed by his viceroy. The old man hands the sword to Sonya instead, as she had experience in regicide. These words make the prince realize that Sonya was the Red Devil who killed his father. Sonya hands the sword back to the young warrior and tells him it was time to atone for his sins by fighting for the Hercanians. The prince accepts the sword and declared it a day of atonement, as he would drive away the barbarians to become a king fit for his people. Meanwhile, the power Thulsa had given Zal had gotten to his head. As they sought refuge in the mines, Zal grew his severed hand back and told doomed soldiers that he was now God, and he could feel the spirit of doom inside him. He didn't notice the giant snake looming behind him, opening its mouth to let Thulsa out. As he declared that he would be lord of all Earth, the snake bit into him. Doom asked his men if there were any heretics who would like to follow Zal down the snake's gullet. When his men remained silent, he told them it was time to solve the riddle of the steel and conquer the greatest weapon hidden in the mines. First, they had to deal with Red Sonja. Not the ending yet. Ozias, Sonya, and Prince Ashim get together to come up with a plan that would defeat Thulsa Doom. Ashim tells Sonya that there's a strange metal in the mines called Hercanium. This metal was so terribly powerful that it could make a man a god. But his ancestor who had found it knew about the horrible effects it would have, and so he collapsed the mine upon himself to keep it a secret from the world. The prince believed that this was what Thulsa was after. Right at that moment, one of the miners pulled out a glowing green metal. Doom kills the miner and claims the metal, Hercanium, for himself, as he believed it was the answer to the riddle of the steel. Ozias and Sonya head for the mines through a secret passage, while Ashim goes outside to keep Doom's men off their backs. Ashim immediately jumps into action, ordering the archers to maintain the front line and the catapults to be prepared. His attack was effective and drove away Thulsa's soldiers. Meanwhile, Sonya and Ozias managed to get into the mines. Their journey was immediately met with powerful obstacles as the giant serpent attacked them, and Thulsa's soldiers followed behind. Ozias was fighting off the soldiers when the serpent dragged Sonya underwater into a nearby stream. He got distracted, allowing Thulsa to sneak up behind him and stab him to death. Sonya fights off the serpent by herself and is shocked to find Ozias' lifeless body lying right outside the stream. She promises to take him home and not just leave him there. Suddenly, Doom appears in his disguised form and asks Sonya to follow him. She asks what happened to Ozias, but he evades the question and tells her to hush as Doom was nearby. The two are guided by a green light, and Sonya realizes that she's moving towards Hercanium. Just as she's about to touch the precious metal, a snake sprouts from Thulsa's wrist and bites her. This time, Ashim had put out all the fires and defeated all of Thulsa's soldiers outside the mines, so he enters the mines with his men, hoping to help Sonya. He was shocked to see Ozias dead, was glad that Sonya's body wasn't next to his. That meant there was a chance she was still alive. When Sonya wakes up, she's chained to a wall, and Thulsa is forging a sword out of the Hercania. As soon as her eyes are clear, she realizes that Thulsa was Thulsa Doom all along. Doom approaches and claims that they were both the same. Both of them had taken thousands of lives and were messengers of peace. Then he kisses her. Sonya pretends to give in to the kiss and waits until he drops his guard, and as soon as he does, Sonya wraps her chains around his throat and tells him that they are nothing alike. The Hercanium sword in Thulsa's hand accidentally strikes the wall and causes it to explode, throwing Sonya and Thulsa away from the wall. Ashim hears the explosion and hopes that the Hercanium is in the hands of Sonya and not Doom. He runs towards the sound and finds Doom, who had just thrown Sonya off his back. Ashim punches Thulsa and Thulsa punches back, but Ashim had the power of his people now. They all descend on him and hold him as Sonya throws punch after punch. She gives him the answer to the riddle by asking him what is steel compared to the hand that wields it. As proof of that, though Thulsa came to Hercania for the steel, it will be the Hercanian heart that defeats him. Thulsa grabs the Hercanian sword that he had forged and swings it. Realizing he's outnumbered, he jumps into the stream and turns into a snake to escape. The mines had begun to shake already, threatening to close up with everyone still inside. Though Sonya wants to stay and fight, Ashim asks her to leave as rocks begin to fall. She makes a half-hearted retreat out of the mines, and 1 week later, Sonya confides in Ashim that Thulsa Doom had won, But Ashim didn't believe that. After all, their city still stood. He believed that Doom would pay for all that he had done. The prince had already begun work to restore his kingdom and build a strong defense against his enemies. His theory was that the best defense was a formidable offense, but before all of that, he told Sonya there must be some kind of reckoning for her regicide. Sonya tries to explain herself, but Ashim was adamant that she had to be punished for murder, so he handed her a sword with a blade made of pure Hercanium and sentenced her to a lifetime of defending Hercania from the forces of Doom and Doom himself. He offered her a fighting brigade to accompany her, but she prefers to travel alone. As Sonya rides off, he tells her to always remember that she had a home in Hercania. If you ask us, Red Sonja vs. Thulsa Doom is surprisingly mediocre. It's the story of the two most recognizable non-Conan characters in the world of Conan the Barbarian butting heads, so it should be an action-packed thrill fest. Sadly though, the story is simply bland. The plot has a lot of potential. Thulsa Doom is so impressed by Sonya that he wants her as his disciple, willingly or not. He goes undercover to trap her and even seems to have fallen in love with her, but the reveal is half-hearted. Osseous was killed way too easily, and Thulsa Doom, going in and out of disguise with Sonya, deciding to go along with him, seemed out of character for her. The art is honestly amazing though, and despite its flaws, we kinda loved it. That's just our opinion though. Go read the comic and let us know what you think. That comment section is wide open just for you. Oh, by the way, if you like this video, why don't you go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. We'll be back soon with more awesome stuff, but until then, smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to let us know you want to see more videos like this. It really helps us out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and we'll see ya in the next one. Bye for now.